Hey guys, it's C-Buc here for HoopsNation.com, podcast number 2. Today's topic comes from Swish from HoopsNation.com. Today's topic is Spurs comparison from last year to this year. Last season the San Antonio Spurs finished the season 52-30 and were the 7th seed in the Western Conference. The Spurs faced the number 2 seed, Dallas Mavericks, in the first round and proved that they were not an old team and could still compete at a high level. The Spurs were swept, however, in the second round by the Phoenix Suns. This season, the Spurs are looking young again. Last night, January 4th, they picked up their 5th loss of the 2010-2011 season, which is incredible considering the Spurs lost their 5th game last season on November 18th, which was only the Spurs' 9th game of the season. They started this season 29-5, which is the best record not only in the Western Conference but also in the entire NBA. Their winning percentage is 85.2%, which is on pace to finish the season at 70-12. So what changes have the Spurs made from last year to this year? They pretty much have the same roster as last season. They have sped up the pace this year, their offensive tempo. Last year, they were 20th in the league as far as offensive tempo goes. This year, they are 10th, which has translated to more offensive possessions. The Spurs averaged 101.4 points per game last season, which was 16th in the NBA. So far this season, the Spurs are averaging 105.6 points per game, which is 4th in the NBA. You would think that the Spurs speeding up the tempo more this year, that would translate into more points given up per game, but that actually isn't the case. The Spurs are 10th in points allowed per game, only giving up 96.7 points per game this year, which is only 0.4 more points allowed per game this season than last season. Anytime your team is a top 10 in both offense and defense, you should be one of the best teams in the league, and rightfully so. Secondly, the Spurs have been healthy so far all of this season. The Spurs have started the same 5 starters, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Richard Jefferson, Dwan Blair, and Tim Duncan, all 34 games so far this season. Last season, Tony Parker missed 27 games due to a fracture on his right fourth metacarpal. The Spurs started 13 different starters last season. Also, Manu Ginobili came off the bench for most of last year, only starting in 22 games. This year, he has started all 34 games and is rewarding Coach Greg Popovich by leading the team in scoring this year, averaging 18.7 points per game. Parker is averaging 17.7 points per game, 7.1 assists, while shooting 51.8%, which is a high percentage for a point guard. With the Spurs turning up their tempo this year, it is amazing that they are only giving up 0.4 more points per game this year and are committing 0.2 less turnovers per game this year. This speaks highly of how well the Spurs are coached. This is a very smart basketball team. They understand where to go with the ball at all times, and despite the fact that their leader, Tim Duncan, is having statistically the worst season of his soon-to-be Hall of Fame career, Duncan is only averaging 28.9 minutes per game, 13.6 points per game, and 9.4 rebounds per game, which are all career lows for him. Again, this reiterates how well this team is coached, considering the fact that the Spurs' offense primarily has ran through Duncan the last 13 years. The Spurs have been arguably the most consistent team over the past 13 years. Their average record has been 55-27, which actually could be higher considering the fact that in 98-99 the season was shortened due to a lockout. The Spurs finished 37-13 that year. That was the year also they won the championship. Pop's win percentage over this span has been 69%. Also, the Spurs have not missed the playoffs in that time and have made 4 finals appearances, having won all 4. The constant, you could say it's Tim Duncan, but I think it has more to do with Greg Popovich. Most fans don't enjoy watching the Spurs play, however, because for the most part they're boring. Let's face it, their spectacular superstar Tim Duncan is a very quiet guy and always has been. Timmy is not necessarily a guy the media loves to keep up with because he is missing that personality of a LeBron James or Kobe Bryant. However, Popovich and Duncan are okay with staying low-key and wouldn't have it any other way. They know that defense, for the most part, wins championships. Since the Spurs drafted Tim Duncan in '98, this year is the first time that the Spurs have been out of the top 3 in points allowed per game in 13 years. Incredible. They have also led the league in points allowed per game 5 of those 13 years. If that isn't coaching, then I don't know what is. As long as the Spurs can maintain a healthy team for the remainder of this season, this team can be very dangerous come playoff time. With the Lakers slumping at the moment, the Spurs are ready to take their place in the finals, representing the Western Conference. And it only seems right since 1999, only the Dallas Mavericks in 2006 have represented the Western Conference besides the Lakers or Spurs. If you enjoyed this podcast, like it. Leave a comment below for topics or questions you would like me to answer in future podcasts. You can also visit hoopsnation.com, make a profile there, sign up. It's free, it's easy, great basketball community, lots of topics posted daily. Anyways, this was C-Buc, and I'm out. Thanks for listening.